Hey, good morning everyone. Hope you're having a great day so far. It's Friday. Doesn't really mean much to me, but it's Friday. Anyway, so what I have above me here is an '05 Duramax 2500 Chevy pickup truck with an Allison tranny. Customer brought it in, said he's got a grinding noise when he's trying to start it. And he also hears a tapping noise when it's running. So checked it out. Okay, you got the teeth are ground off the flywheel, and the starter was actually loose. The lower starter bolt hole was stripped out completely, and the upper bolt hole was loose, or the bolt was loose in the bolt hole. Now they go into aluminum, into this piece here, which is not really an adapter housing, which I thought it was. It's actually the rear engine cover. So taking this piece off is kind of a nightmare. It's kind of involved. So I kind of didn't want to do that if I didn't have to. So I called the customer and I said, look, the problem that you're having is the teeth are shot on the flywheel, and there's a separate piece that's actually a flex plate that drives the torque converter. Flywheel bolts to the motor, or the flywheel lays on the motor, and then a flex plate lays on top of the flywheel, and bolts go through it into the crank up here. And I noticed, looking at the flex plate, somebody had been in here before, and they had shoved a pry bar or something to try to wedge it in place to either torque the bolts or loosen the bolts to the crankshaft. They are tight. In doing so, they had wedged that, whatever it was, pry bar or whatever, and it actually bent the flex plate portion, and that bend in it allowed it to crack. There's the tapping noise, the crack. So I called the customer, told him what was going on. So he's like, all right, well, let's get this thing right. And I said, well, the other issue we're having too is this plate back here, where the bolt holes are, the bolts are, the holes are shot. The threads are gone. So we're going to have to do something about that. So let me show you what I got going on. Now, this is the lower bolt hole. This is not accessible from the backside here as you see it is now. Same with the upper hole. They're only accessible from the other side up there. But to try to get in there from the outside through the wheel well opening, here, it's super tight. You have very little room. And anybody that's worked on one of these knows exactly what I'm talking about. So what I wound up doing, because I had to put a Heli-Coil in there, and I told the customer, I'm not quite sure how this is going to go. If this doesn't work right, then I'm going to have to take this entire plate off to do this job. Take this entire plate off, it's another 5 hours, because you got to take the rear main seal out, oil cooler stuff, where the oil filter is, some stuff with the turbo has got to come apart apparently. I don't know, I never did it. This upper plate supposedly has to come off. But anyway, so what I wound up doing, like I said, you could not, this wasn't accessible. This is completely blocked off. So what I did was I drilled a small hole where I thought the other hole was, or I thought the threads were on the other side. Drilled a small hole, got in there, and actually took a deburring tool and ground this thing out to match the hole. And it worked perfectly. So with that, I was able to get in there with a Heli-Coil kit and install a Heli-Coil. Now, I'm going to be doing this one. I would love to show you how to do it, how to install a Heli-Coil, but I kind of don't have the ability to hold the camera and film at the same time. So I'm going to get this one installed next, and what I'll probably do is I'll make a separate video. And I'll show you guys how to install a Heli-Coil. Maybe I'll put something on the bench and do it that way. That'll probably be the easiest. So anyway, just thought I'd show you what I got going on right now. This is a pretty labor-intensive job, but I'm getting it done. The customer is actually just here. I showed him what was going on. He was very happy that I didn't have to take that back plate off, because the more stuff you disturb, obviously the more chances you have for leakage or additional problems. So I'd rather not remove it because everything's all sealed up. Oh, and the reason, I don't know if I said it, the reason somebody was in here and took that flywheel off is because they did the rear main seal. Apparently it took them 3 times to do it before it was done right. And it turns out too, the transmission only had 4 bolts holding it to the motor. So now I got to find hardware to, bolt the motor up correctly. There was stuff missing everywhere, so don't know who did it, but whatever, not my problem. Anyway, that's it. I hope you guys are having a great day. Keep wrenching.